The great capital world of the Galactic Empire was alive with lights and sound as the summit began. The massive hall filled with the rulers of many alien species. Banners of empires hung from crystal pillars while armed guards lined the walls. The air was heavy with pride, arrogance, and hidden agendas. It was a historic day because for the first time humans had been invited into the heart of galactic politics. Most alien leaders thought of humans as newcomers, young and inexperienced. Their planet had only just begun exploring the stars compared to the thousand-year empires gathered here. Many saw humanity as children, harmless and weak, and so when the announcement came that Earth would send diplomats, laughter rippled through the chambers. One alien lord smirked, saying, "Humans are soft, they speak too much, and fight too little." Another added, "Their lives are short, their wisdom even shorter." Only the empire's emperor kept his expression unreadable, watching and waiting as the giant doors of the chamber began to open. A silence fell as the humans entered. They did not come in with bluster nor fear, but with calm, steady steps. Their dark suits were simple but sharp, their eyes forward, every move measured. Behind them 2 aides carried slim black cases, not revealing what was inside. The humans looked nothing like the heavily armored lords or the jeweled monarchs present. They carried no weapons, no crowns, only quiet dignity. An alien commander leaned toward his colleague, whispering, "They don't look like warriors, they look like negotiators, weak ones." Still another chuckled under his breath, calling them prey in suits, but the humans paid no attention. They walked with silent discipline, every step echoing in the hall. The emperor studied them carefully, his gaze narrowing. He had seen warriors before, and there was something in the way the humans moved, something controlled, dangerous, like blades hidden in silk. The head human diplomat, a tall man with calm gray eyes, took the central podium. He bowed slightly before speaking, his voice quiet yet strong. He thanked the empire for the invitation, and spoke of peace, trade, and cooperation. His words were polite, but behind them was weight, a hidden iron that made even the translators pause. Some alien leaders smirked, others yawned, clearly unimpressed. They saw nothing but another young species trying to prove itself to giants. Yet a few more observant minds shifted uneasily in their seats. Something about the way the humans spoke, the way their bodyguards scanned the hall, their stillness, their patience. It was not the clumsy effort of the weak, it was the quiet discipline of those who had seen much more than they revealed. The summit continued. Alien rulers debated trade, borders, military alliances, all while the humans sat quietly, rarely interrupting. When they did, their words were sharp, precise, cutting through arguments like knives. Some began to notice how quickly they read situations, how effortlessly they countered manipulation. Their calm was unsettling. An insectoid leader muttered, "This is no ordinary species, they are too cold, too focused." Still the majority laughed, treating them as harmless newcomers. But that laughter began to fade when news reached the summit of a sudden raid on the outer rim. A rogue war fleet had attacked an allied colony, and panic spread. Who would defend it? How quickly could fleets be sent? Debates raged until the emperor himself asked the humans, "What would your people do?" The human diplomat stood slowly, his gray eyes scanning the chamber. He answered simply with one sentence, "We would end it swiftly before it grows." Then he nodded to his aides, who opened the black cases. Inside were not gifts or scrolls, but data drives. They plugged them into the summit's hollow projectors, and suddenly the chamber was filled with images, real battles, human fleets clashing with pirate armadas, ground forces eliminating threats with terrifying precision, footage of soldiers moving with ruthless coordination, raids crushed in hours, entire rebellions ended before dawn. Silence fell over the chamber as the aliens watched one scene after another. In every image, the humans were not desperate, they were efficient, coldly efficient. Some alien leaders shifted uncomfortably as they realized the truth. These were not mere diplomats who stood here before them, these were representatives of a species forged in endless wars on their own world. Humans had fought each other for centuries, building strategy, discipline, and brutality into their very culture. When they finally reached the stars, they carried that same fire, now hidden behind polite suits. The insectoid leader whispered, "By the void, they are killers, the kind that smile while they kill." And for the first time the hall was quiet, none dared laugh anymore. The emperor leaned back on his throne, studying the humans, his eyes sharp. He understood what the others had missed. This was not a weak young race. These diplomats were warriors in disguise. Their calm, their discipline, their sharp eyes, all signs of killers who no longer needed to boast. They had seen blood, they had caused fear, and they had mastered the art of war. The humans bowed once more, their leader's voice steady as he said, "We do not seek to fight, but if war finds us, we will end it swiftly." Those words hung in the air like a blade, and every ruler in the chamber now looked at the humans with something new, not mockery, not arrogance, but fear. The summit ended hours later, but the whispers did not stop across the chamber. Alien rulers leaned close, speaking in hushed tones. We thought they were weak negotiators, but they are worse. They are predators dressed as diplomats. The insectoid leader hissed softly. They came not to learn from us, but to show us, and the realization spread like fire. The humans had arrived in the galaxy not as children, but as the most dangerous kind of killers. Silent, calm, and unshakable, and while the Empire's banners waved outside the chamber, inside, every leader knew a new power had revealed itself, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The summit chamber glittered with crystal lights, a hall built to impress the galaxy with the Empire's wealth and order, yet whispers echoed from every corner as the human delegation took their seats at the long obsidian table, their movements calm, precise, and strangely controlled, as if they belonged to a different rhythm of time itself, while alien leaders leaned close to each other, making jokes in hushed tones about primitive earthlings and children who learned to speak too late. But the humans gave no reaction, their eyes scanning the room, noting every exit, every guard, and every weapon hidden behind ceremonial cloth, and though they spoke politely, their voices were measured, clipped, and sharp enough to feel like steel, leaving a faint tension that unsettled those who expected clumsy softness. Then, as the debates began, the humans asked pointed questions, not about trade or resources, but about troop movements, defense systems, and hidden alliances, their words cutting deeper than the Empire expected, forcing generals to shift in their seats as though someone had read their classified reports, and one alien noble finally scoffed, asking with arrogance, "Do humans think they can intimidate us with questions? You are diplomats, not soldiers," to which Ambassador Gray simply smiled, his calm tone wrapping around the room as he replied, "Do not mistake diplomacy for weakness, we learned it from war," leaving a silence so heavy it crushed laughter in the throats of even the most arrogant commanders. It was then, during a short recess, that an impatient alien warlord decided to test them, sending a hidden squad of guards to shadow the humans as they walked through the palace gardens. But when the guards tried to corner them, every human moved in unison, precise as a blade being drawn, and within seconds the guards were on the ground, disarmed, alive but humiliated, with no witnesses except the shadows and the wind, while the diplomats calmly continued their walk as though nothing had happened, leaving the warlord shaken, whispering to his peers that something was wrong with these diplomats, for no diplomats moved like trained killers. The rumor spread like fire through the chamber when they returned, the whispers shifting from mockery to unease, and some alien leaders began watching the humans more closely, noticing the scars on their hands, the way they never exposed their backs, the silent codes passed with the smallest glance, until at last the Emperor himself leaned forward, his golden mask hiding his face but not his suspicion, and he asked in a voice that carried across the hall, "Tell us, humans, who taught you this kind of diplomacy?" And the room froze as Ambassador Gray locked eyes with him, no smile now, only the weight of something far older than any empire, answering softly, "History did, your majesty, and history is written in blood." The Emperor's question lingered in the air like smoke, and though the humans had answered with calm restraint, the alien nobles could not let go of the unease curling in their stomachs. So while the summit moved forward with endless speeches about borders and treaties, one minister slipped away to a secure chamber, ordering the archives of the Empire's intelligence service to search every historical record on humanity, expecting to find nothing but primitive wars and late arrivals to galactic society. Yet what he uncovered made his blood freeze. Centuries-old reports from frontier colonies that no one spoke of anymore, stories of pirates who raided human ships and never returned, fleets that tried to enslave Earth and were never seen again, soldiers who claimed that humans fought like demons, silent, relentless, and merciless when pushed to the edge. The records described battles where humans, though outnumbered 10-1, fought until the last drop of blood, tearing through machines and fortresses with a fury no other species had ever shown, and worse, there were whispers of entire alien warbands that surrendered after meeting only a handful of human marines, terrified not by numbers but by the humans' refusal to break. The minister's hands trembled as he read, the words, "most feared killers," written in an old commander's notes, almost buried by dust, and when he returned to the chamber, he looked at the human delegation with new eyes, seeing not diplomats but predators dressed in polite clothing, their eyes too sharp, their silence too heavy. Across the table, Ambassador Gray noticed the change, his gaze locking with the minister as though he already knew what files had been opened, and the silence between them was so sharp that others fell quiet too, sensing tension rising like a storm. Then, as if fate wanted to confirm the fear, One alien delegate from a border world suddenly rose and slammed his hands on the table, his voice shaking as he shouted, "You think we do not remember? My grandfather told me of the Battle of Ilker Ridge. Humans were there. Not as diplomats, but as executioners." And the chamber erupted into chaos, voices shouting, guards moving closer, nobles demanding answers, until the emperor raised his hand and silence fell, his mask tilting toward the humans, and he asked in a low, careful tone, "Is this true? Did your people spill blood in the dark corners of the galaxy before we invited you here?" The humans did not deny it, nor did they confirm it directly, but Gray leaned forward, folding his hands as his voice echoed with chilling calm. "We never sought war, but when war came to us, we did not run, we ended it." And though the words were soft, they struck harder than any weapon, leaving even the proudest generals unable to laugh. For now they remembered the old rumors that no one wanted to believe, and slowly the realization spread. The Empire had not invited naive newcomers into its court, it had welcomed killers shaped by centuries of survival, and the question that now haunted every alien present was not what the humans were, but why they had come. The summit hall had barely settled from the storm of accusations when the real test began, for while the Emperor ordered calm and tried to steer the meeting back to diplomacy, not everyone in the chamber believed humans could be trusted, and among the shadows of the imperial court, powerful voices whispered plans of testing these newcomers, not with words but with fear. That night, when the human delegation returned to their quarters in the Grand Palace, the long halls were too quiet, the golden walls too empty, and Gray, walking in front, felt at first the prickling silence of a trap. Yet he said nothing, only raising two fingers slightly, a subtle signal his team understood instantly, their steps slowing, eyes scanning the edges, and then it came. The soft hiss of blades sliding free, the faint movement above the balcony railings, and suddenly the air filled with the masked shapes of assassins, their armor painted black, their curved weapons gleaming with poison light, their voices a hiss as they snarled, "The Empire will not bow to monsters." And in that instant, the trap closed, dozens of killers leaping from every side, confident in numbers, but what happened next was not what they expected. The humans did not panic, they did not scream, they did not even reach for weapons at first. Instead they moved with terrifying precision, like predators who had rehearsed this dance 1,000 times in darker places than these halls, one stepping left to block the corridor, another dropping low to guard the rear, Gray himself standing perfectly still, his cold eyes never leaving the leader of the assassins. The first attacker lunged with speed that had killed many nobles before, but his blade never reached flesh. Human hands caught his wrist mid-strike, twisted with brutal force, and the sickening crack of bone echoed louder than his scream, the weapon falling useless as he was dragged to the floor, unconscious before he hit the marble. Then chaos erupted, but it was chaos only for the assassins, because the humans were calm. Each movement clean, efficient, merciless, turning every attack into an opportunity to break a body, snap a neck, or slam an enemy into the stone until silence swallowed their cries. To the hidden eyes watching, because of course spies were recording, the scene was more horrifying than any rumor. Humans did not fight for dominance, they fought to end, their faces showing no anger, no hesitation, only focus as one by one the masked warriors fell, until finally the leader stood alone, trembling, his poisoned dagger shaking in his grip, his voice breaking as he whispered, "This is not possible. You were supposed to be diplomats." And Gray finally moved, stepping forward with the same calm he had shown in the council chamber, his hand striking the dagger aside before gripping the alien's throat, holding him effortlessly in the air, his words like steel. "We are diplomats, until someone decides otherwise," then dropping the assassin to the floor alive, as if to send a message rather than take a life. When guards finally arrived, summoned by noise too late to change anything, they froze at the sight. An entire squad of elite killers defeated in minutes, human uniforms barely scratched, and Gray standing untouched at the center like a man carved from shadow. Whispers spread before dawn across the palace, then across the capital itself. The humans had been tested, and the test had failed, for instead of fear, the galaxy had now seen what happened when humans were pushed, and though the Emperor's advisors begged him to denounce the violence, the Emperor himself remained silent, staring at the human delegation with unreadable eyes, and for the first time in living memory, the rulers of the Empire did not feel like predators, but prey. The council chamber trembled under the echoes of silence after the humans revealed their past, their calm voices carrying the weight of ancient wars, their steady eyes reminding every alien leader of ghosts they had never seen but now feared, and though no weapons were drawn the room felt heavier than any battlefield. Every alien could almost hear the sound of unseen guns and feel the shadow of soldiers standing behind the humans. Shadows made from history and blood, and the Empire's generals shifted uneasily, claws tapping, wings folding, tentacles curling because they had built their power on fear, yet here were beings who did not fear them, who never even blinked under their glares, and when one alien ruler, a warlord with scars across his snout, tried to laugh and call it all lies, one human delegate leaned forward slowly and asked a simple question, his voice low but cutting through the chamber like a knife. "Do you want us to show you?" And the warlord's laugh broke in his throat, dying into silence, because every instinct screamed that this soft voice did not bluff, and then the humans stood, calm, composed, as if centuries of killing had been woven into their very steps, and they produced a device, small and unthreatening, placing it on the table, a hollow activated, displaying ancient battlefields that no alien had ever known humans had fought. Wars not against simple empires but against things that lived in darkness, things older than the stars, things the galaxy itself had forgotten, and the images of burning skies and ruined planets made even the proudest alien generals fall quiet, because the humans had not only fought, they had won, their small armies had survived against monsters that swallowed civilizations whole, and the whispers in the chamber turned to dread as realization spread. These diplomats carried no weapons because they were weapons themselves, sharpened by a history no one else had endured, and the youngest alien in the chamber, a prince, broke the silence with a trembling voice, asking why humans had come now, and the lead human answered with simple honesty, saying humanity did not seek conquest, they sought warning, for the things they had fought once were stirring again in the dark between galaxies, and if the empires did not stand united they would all fall. But even as he spoke the aliens could not stop glancing at their calm hands, their cold eyes, wondering what would happen if the humans decided they were enemies instead of allies, and the Empire's emperor, high upon his golden throne, shifted in discomfort because he had invited prey but now felt like prey himself, and every ruler knew at that moment the balance of power had shifted without a single shot fired, for the galaxy had just discovered that the quiet guests in dark suits were the most dangerous killers to ever walk their halls, and as the council tried to recover, whispers of fear and awe spread like wildfire, and outside in the capital streets, where millions celebrated the arrival of the newcomers, rumors already began twisting, whispers that humanity was not just another young race but the one race you should never push too far, and the aliens who had once mocked now felt their pride burn, their claws twitch, their spines stiffen, as they realized the game they had played for centuries had changed forever. The chamber was still trembling with unease when it happened, a flicker of motion from the shadows above the council dome, too fast for most alien eyes, but not for the humans who moved the instant before danger struck, for out of the high beams came a squad of assassins, cloaked and armed with silent blades meant to slice through bone and steel, and their target was clear, the human delegation, the newcomers, the ones who had upset the balance of power. Yet before a scream could rise the humans were already in motion, no hesitation, no panic, just cold precision, their bodies moving like a memory of wars long fought, one woman catching a falling blade with her bare hand, twisting, snapping the assassin's wrist before anyone else in the room had even drawn a weapon, another man pulling a hidden pistol no one had seen him carry, 3 shots fired so cleanly that the assassins fell midair, blood spraying across the golden banners of the Empire, and the rest of the human team moved as one. Not like diplomats, not like prey, but like wolves among sheep, every motion efficient, every strike final, and in less than 10 seconds the attack was over, the assassins broken on the marble floor, the chamber echoing with silence again, but this time it was fear sharper than any blade, because the humans had not only survived, they had annihilated the threat as if they had been expecting it, as if they had lived their whole lives waiting for moments like this, and the aliens sat frozen. Rulers and generals who commanded fleets of thousands, their throats dry as they stared at these quiet creatures who fought like death itself, and when the emperor finally found his voice, it cracked as he demanded who dared attack in his sacred hall. The humans only looked at him, their expressions unreadable, until one finally said, calm and steady, "You see why we warned you," and he gestured to the assassins, revealing tattoos burned into their skin, marks of an ancient cult, a forgotten order the galaxy had assumed destroyed, and the hollow device flared again, showing records from Earth's archives, Ancient wars against the same cult when they had first served the monsters from beyond the stars, and realization struck like thunder through the chamber. The darkness the humans spoke of was already moving, already inside the council, and without humanity's warning the empires would have walked blind into the fire. But now they saw it, and more importantly they saw who could fight it. Who had already fought it, and won. And in that single bloody moment the galaxy's rulers understood the truth they could never admit aloud. Humanity was not the weakest, they were the last shield, the final wall standing against a storm no empire could withstand alone. And though no treaty was signed that day, though no words of alliance were yet spoken, every leader in the chamber carried a new, unshakable fear and respect as they watched the humans clean the blood from their hands. Calm. Almost bored, as if this was nothing new, because for them it was not. For them it was life, and as the humans turned to leave, their eyes sweeping the chamber one last time, not a single alien dared to stop them, for the galaxy had mocked humanity, had laughed at their small ships and soft bodies. But now the laughter was gone, replaced with silence, the kind of silence that follows a predator through the dark. And the council knew without question that the universe had changed forever. Because the humans had revealed what they truly were, and the galaxy would never laugh at them again.